Adventurers arrive. A group of adventurers was getting ready to head into the forest for a survey. They were a three-person team of B-rank adventurers, Cavell, Ellen, and Guido. Monster activity had become severe, and lately merchants' wagons no longer ventured into the forest. The cost of hiring guards was too high, making it unprofitable. For that reason, the only way to get to the forest was on foot. Not that it mattered, since wagons couldn't access the path to the Cave of Seals anyway, so they would have to walk part of the way regardless. After they finished their preparations and were about to depart, someone approached and spoke to them. "Excuse me, if you are heading into the forest, would it be possible for me to join you part of the way?" The voice was difficult to place, neither male nor female, old nor young. They couldn't see the person's expression because they were wearing a mask. It was a beautiful, expressionless mask. The aura they gave off was suspicious, but sure thing. "Whoa, hey, I'm the leader. Don't give permission before I do. What is wrong with you?" Come on, once Sis makes up her mind, there's no point in arguing, is there? The trio easily agreed to the request. "I am grateful." With that single word, the mysterious person fell silent and began walking with the trio. And so, Cavell and his group of three gained one more companion and set off once again for their survey. Clang, clang, bang. The sounds of chopping wood and hammering echoed through the forest. They were clearing land for a new town and building houses in sequence. Since they were first installing the water and sewer systems, the land was currently just an open, empty space with no houses yet. The water system would draw water directly from a nearby river. Although still under construction, a water management building was planned. The idea was to purify the water there and distribute it to each home. For the sewage, they had buried channels made of wood. The inside of the wood was treated with a preservative to prevent rotting and was then solidified with cement. This was the work they were currently doing. It was a huge help that they found a source of limestone from a nearby mountain. They also planned to build a sewage treatment facility on the outskirts of the town to create fertilizer. A large gymnasium-like building had been constructed as a temporary shelter for everyone to sleep in. Because it was a provisional structure, it was crudely built. The land division was going smoothly. The area closest to the cave was designated as the highest ranking and was where my residence would be built. From there, the residences of the clan leaders would line up with the homes of the general residents encircling them. Because the land was organized from the beginning, it felt clean and not at all chaotic. The main roads were laid out in the shape of a cross, making it easy to move as a group in an emergency. On the other hand, it also made it easier to attack. Evolving the goblin into a hobgoblin was a great decision. Their intelligence had developed rapidly, and they learned things quickly. They also grew physically larger and stronger. According to the dwarves, goblins are F-rank monsters, while hobgoblins are C to D rank. It felt more appropriate to count them as people rather than monsters. Their rank varied greatly depending on their individual skills and equipment. And it was true that their individual strength varied significantly. The 4 I appointed of lords seemed to have abilities superior to the others. And as for Rigard, whom I appointed king, "Oh, you are here! I have been looking for you." He had grown so much that I wanted to ask, "What kind of monster are you?" He had a huge muscular physique. According to Kaijin, Rigard could likely overwhelm an ogre. This must be the result of not just giving him a name, but also a specific job class. The ecology of monsters is truly a mystery. Maybe I should try appointing others to see what happens. "What is it?" We have captured some suspicious people, so I came to report." "Suspicious? Are they part of a monster gang?" "No, they are human. As per your command, we did not lay a hand on them." "Humans? Why would they be here?" "Humans, you say? This is it. I need to make friends with them. But if they are like those idiot adventurers from before, I might secretly get rid of them and feed them to the monsters." It seems they were in a battle with a group of giant ants, and Rigard's security team rescued and protected them. But there were signs that they had been surveying the area. I came to ask for your judgment. Did some country send a survey team to this area? I asked the dwarves and they said the Jura Forest was a neutral zone belonging to no nation. There's a high possibility that this is a survey team from a country aiming for territorial expansion. That could be a problem. I'll figure it out after I meet them. All right, I'll meet them. Show me the way. With that, I jumped onto Rigard's shoulder. Since I had Ranga out on patrol, moving around was annoying. It was no different from walking, but I didn't like the low perspective as a slime. To maintain my dignity, I couldn't let anyone look down on me. It's just an excuse, though. Rigard carried me on his shoulder and went to where the adventurers were being held. I wondered what kind of people they were. As I was thinking, a lively commotion reached my non-existent ears. Hey, that's the one I was after. That's so mean, isn't it? That meat was mine. Gentlemen, when it comes to food, I cannot compromise. Munch, munch, In response to my silent questioning, Rigard said, I apologize. It seems they lost their belongings to the ants, so I prepared a meal for them. Rigard seems to have a kind side. No, that's fine. In fact, it was very perceptive of you. It's a good thing to be kind to those in need. I praised him. He was gradually becoming able to lead everyone without needing my direct judgment. I thought that was a good thing. I will continue to work hard so as not to cause any trouble for Rimuru-sama. Well, he was still as formal as ever. Satisfied, I entered the makeshift tent. The person guarding the entrance opened the flap for me. Everyone's eyes focused on me. The adventurers were stuffing their mouths full of vegetables and meat. Their eyes widened as they stared at me. Their faces were all contorted, but they were probably unaware of it. Wait, I think I've seen them somewhere before. Oh, it's the trio I passed in the cave. There's one person I haven't seen before, though. I wondered how they were eating with that mask on. Munch, munch. They were eating completely at their own pace, and it was yakiniku. If only I had a sense of taste. My nostalgic friend, meat. I wish I could find a sense of taste somewhere. Oops, my mind wandered off. Rigard approached the designated seat and set me down. Guests, we have not much to offer, but are you comfortable? This is our master, Rimuru-sama. He introduced me and sat down next to me. I heard a gulp as the adventurers swallowed their food. Then, what? A slime? Munch, munch. They were astonished. One person's reaction was a bit strange, but that's okay. Nice to meet you. I'm removing a slime. I'm not a bad slime. Pfft. At my greeting, the masked person spit out their drink. However, the mask prevented the liquid from scattering. What a rude person. It seemed they were truly surprised that a slime could talk. The trio was also surprised, but thankfully they didn't have anything in their mouths. Now, what kind of people were they? I hoped they were decent humans. The masked person collected themselves and said, "My apologies. I never expected to be rescued by a demon, but thank you for your help." "Oh, we're human adventurers. This meat is so delicious. We've been running for 3 days and haven't had a proper meal. Thank you so much." "Thanks. It really helped. I never thought hobgoblins would be building a village in a place like this." Cough, cough, sniff, gulp, gulp. There was no need to rush. "Well, just take your time and finish your meal, and then you can tell me what happened," I said, deciding to wait for them to finish. It would have been better if they had called me after they finished their meal, but they weren't yet mindful enough to do that. Well, they were probably in a hurry, so I guess it couldn't be helped. It was also unexpected for me to have human guests, or prisoners. Feeling it might be awkward for them, I left the tent. I told the guards to guide them to my personal tent near the cave after their meal. Rigard looked apologetic, but I reassured him. "Don't worry about it. It's just something to work on for the future." They were growing in their own ways. Nothing ever goes perfectly from the start. I went into my tent and waited comfortably. Rigard had a female goblin, Gobarina, prepared some tea. It seemed to be a better quality than what I had before, but unfortunately, I couldn't taste it. It was interesting to see how the effects of evolution were appearing even in these small details. This change convinced me that a cultural life would definitely take root. Time passed, and then, "We apologize for our rudeness earlier," the four of them said as they entered. The temporary tent felt a little cramped. As the goblin guide left, another goblin came in with tea. See, they were growing in these ways without me even telling them. I knew that they often stayed up late with the dwarves, talking about culture and daily life. All right, let's start over. My name is Rimuru, and I am the master of this place. What brings you here? My question was probably what they expected. I had given them time to talk, so they seemed to have decided on their answer. Nice to meet you. I'm Kaval. I'm the leader of this party. This is Ellen, and this is Guido. You might know us as B-Rank Adventurers.
Nice to meet you. I'm Ellen. Hello, I'm Guido. It's a pleasure to meet you. So, they were indeed a party. B-Rank was decent, but the cave seemed a bit too tough for them. So, what about the fourth person? And this is Shizu. She joined us temporarily since we were going in the same direction. I am Shizu. The voice was difficult to place. Neither male nor young, old nor young. But for me, determining their gender was easy. It was as simple as ABC for a slime like me, who could even distinguish goblins. She was a woman. And I had a certain premonition. Could this person be Japanese? I couldn't shake the feeling. The way she drank her tea, the way she was sitting in a seiza position. I couldn't say for sure since I wasn't familiar with this world, but I had a feeling that seiza was rare. In fact, the other three were not sitting in seiza. They were sitting cross-legged on a carpet made of wolf fur. The woman, Ellen, was sitting sideways and relaxed. It just occurred to me, these guys are way too careless. Is the sense of danger so low in this world? No, I need to get back to the topic. Thank you for the introduction. And so, I continued the conversation. I listened to their story. These guys were so trusting that they told me everything without holding back. They said they were hired by the guild to investigate any suspicious activities in the area. The problem was, and you know, when they say suspicious things, how are we supposed to know what that is? Right. I wish they had told us what to look for specifically. Even if we're good at surveys, there's a limit to what we can do. They even started complaining about the guildmaster. These guys were useless. I felt sympathy for the guildmaster. They also told me how they thought a hole in a suspicious-looking boulder was a sign and stabbed it with a sword, only to discover it was a giant ant nest. I was speechless. I wanted to ask them why they chose to stab it with a sword. I wanted to grill them on it. I was amazed they were still alive. They had been running for 3 days and lost all their supplies, which led to their current situation. I couldn't say anything but, "You must be exhausted. Is there anything really suspicious around here? Maybe the cave." No, there was nothing in there. You've heard the rumors, haven't you? About the evil dragon being sealed there. We stayed there for 2 weeks and surveyed the place, even though we couldn't take a bath and there was nothing there. You idiot, you're not supposed to talk about that. I don't know anything about that. She's the one who blabbed, not me. Ellen just blurted it out. The men were in a panic. Well, I knew about it since I had passed them at that time. Anyway, they had a culture of bathing. I definitely want to build a bathhouse in this town. Back to the topic. You said you surveyed the cave, but why did you go there in the first place? It didn't seem like they were looking for treasure. Cavell sighed and shook his head. Well, what's said is said. The truth is, just as Ellen said, there's a rumor that the evil dragon's presence has disappeared. I see. I had no way of knowing, but it seemed that when Veldora disappeared, it caused a huge commotion among humans. They were in a panic just because something that was sealed away had disappeared. What a scary dragon he must have been. It's a big deal. The fact that they came all the way here to investigate. Was it a mistake to build the town near the cave? And the concentration of magicules in the cave was so high, so we brought a reaction stone. But the concentration had dropped. We couldn't detect any abnormalities. Now the cave is just a normal cave, though the magicule concentration is a little higher than usual. Well, there are still a lot of strong monsters, so you probably shouldn't go in there. There's no treasure or ores or anything. There's no point in going inside and fighting dangerous monsters. You might find some bandits' equipment lying around, but it doesn't seem like there's anything valuable. Thump. The culprit who collected all the prominent ores inside the cave, that would be me. Well, it's okay. If I don't say anything, they'll never know. Our conversation continued. Since they'd already let things slip, they just kept giving me information. It turned out they were good-natured guys. The value of the cave was now gone, so there would probably be fewer people coming to survey it. I had thought about moving the town as a last resort, but now it seemed I wouldn't have to. Besides, no country had a claim to this area, so they had no right to complain. Just in case, I asked, "By the way, as you can see, we're building a town here. Do you think the guild would have a problem with that?" "No, I don't think so," Cavell said. "Yeah, it's not the guild's business. I wonder about the country, though," Ellen added. I don't know about that," Guido said. Of course, guild members wouldn't know if a country would get involved. Just as I thought that, the masked woman, Shizu, who had been listening quietly, let out a cry. "Go-ah!" Suddenly, it began.